Welcome to Money Summit. My name is John Ogden, and I'm here with Safwan Zaheer, the head of digital transformation at Accenture. And we'd like to start first by talking about digital transformation. So, what's changed in the past 10 years?
Well, John, thank you for having me. I think banking is going through a transformational change. Um, Uber is not only a car company, but it's on its way to becoming the largest aggregator of debit accounts and small business accounts. So if a driver does not have a banking relationship, Uber signs up a debit card for that driver. A coffee company is running one of the largest mobile payments solution in the world. Facebook's Messenger platform. It's allowing consumers to transact and settle their money IOU balances. And with their recent AI bots initiative, they're inviting banks to insert customer service for the consumers to sort of be contained in that environment. So what's stopping them for including other banking activities? So the implication for banks and credit unions and other players are they need to embark on a digital transformation journey that has to be more from a transformational perspective versus incremental in nature. Because today banks are focused on products. They launch an app, they launch a nice looking website, maybe sign up for an Apple Pay, but underneath these execution steps, there is a lack of a cohesive approach and tactics that they are missing behind their overall transformation journeys.
Interesting. So, what obstacles are getting in their way?
Sure. Well, there are three. First one, typically banks have a very short-centered view to their P&Ls. They have to meet their numbers, they have to run their business, they're answerable to Wall Street, which is all good things, and important elements, but somehow they focus on short-term objectives.
Yeah.
They lose their track on the bigger, bolder next steps. So that's their misalignment there, I would say. The second is obviously regulation, all for good reasons, compliance and regulation. I'm a big fan of it, but with the current regulations, banks are completely enamored and are focused on how do they cope with regulation.
Yeah.
And the third one is basically they're confused.
Okay.
There's lots happening in the space, right? 2-3 years ago, it was the era of wallets. Today we are talking about blockchain. So frankly, they're confused and they don't know how to navigate the space.
Yeah.
And they are looking for trusted advisors and trusted people to help them charter their course.
There's a lot happening right now, right?
Absolutely.
So it's hard to know exactly where you should go.
Absolutely.
So bank credit union. I'm fascinated by the first thing that you mentioned, this idea that the incentives are misaligned. Do you have any idea what a bank could do to make sure that their employees are motivated to prepare for the long term rather than strictly focus on the short term?
And to respond to your question, there needs to, so this is obviously focusing on numbers and driving businesses it needs to be a critical part of their daily activity, but there needs to be a parallel path.
Okay.
While the current business is running and is flourishing, and frankly it's important, so they can pay their bills and continue to employ people, they need to embark on a digital transformation journey, which really encompasses 4 key high-level objectives, where the first one is you're looking through your corporate tactics and seeing how you can cope with some of the disruption that's happening in the market.
Right.
Second is you want to develop a digital transformation agenda, or as we call it, it's a blueprint of the organization, which actually focuses more on not only your overall tactics and strategies, but also consumer journeys, what your technology architecture and platform is going to look like, how are you going to set up your investments in startups, in partnerships, you name it, and also an important element is the governance model. And that's the third important one, is how you structure your organization to succeed. Because frankly, having worked for a big bank and also having consulted for many leading banks, that's an element that they're missing. There's shared resources from IT, from other parts of the organization. There's siloed teams, and that model, in our experience, hasn't worked. So you have to figure out an approach and a governance model where innovation and digital products can succeed. And frankly, the fourth one is around tactical execution. It typically starts with 3-year journeys focused on consumer experiences, digital products, and you just go out and do some test and experimentation.
Okay. In light of that, what do you think about fintech and bank partnerships? Are they, well, I should say, are they partners or are they enemies? How should banks view fintech companies?
Absolutely partners. I think they are collaborators. In many ways, I feel the two, banks and fintech startups, are complementing each other.
Okay.
Banks have a consumer base, they know how banking is done, and importantly, I think they know how to comply with regulations, compliance, which startups don't know.
Right.
Let's take a recent example, Lending Club.
Right.
Lending Club is facing a lot of challenges, at least to say, due to the mismanagement of their book of loans. So the two can come together, and the two can create propositions that I feel can be pretty successful in the market.
That's great. So, going forward, what do you think is most important for banks to keep their eye on? Maybe the question is, what's the biggest thing that banks should be doing that they're typically not doing?
Well, certainly, as I said, I think they need to embark on a transformational journey.
Okay.
Focus less on apps and products and maybe even signing up for an Apple Pay and these kind of siloed effort, and focus on the big picture and then drive organizational from top down.
So you're talking about a shift in culture.
Shifting strategies. It doesn't have to be a complete 180-degree shift in culture of the organization. It has to start from an approach, typically comes from C-suite down to the operational folks, and you need to embrace something which startups have been doing, which is test and experimentation. It's design thinking. It's going out there and doing some bold tests and experimentation and not being afraid.
Okay. That's great. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, John. Thank you for having me.